Welcome to the Conspiracy Tapes, where we explore the mysterious, the macabre, and the magnificent in the world of art. I'm your host, Ryan Martin, and today we're diving deep into paintings that have captivated, terrified, and mystified viewers for centuries. From Leonardo da Vinci's lost Medusa shield to artworks that seemingly predicted modern tragedies, we'll uncover the secrets that lurk beneath layers of paint and varnish. Art has always been humanity's mirror, reflecting not just our beauty and aspirations, but our deepest fears, darkest impulses, and most profound mysteries. Today's journey will take us through 8 fascinating segments, each revealing how artists have channeled the inexplicable into their work. And if this blend of art, mystery, and history has you hooked, then you need Skoob in your life, your personal AI-powered curator of the world's most mind-expanding podcast content. Whether you're into hidden histories, conspiracy theories, or the philosophical side of creativity, Skoob delivers curated podcast episodes based on best-selling nonfiction books, all in quick, binge-worthy formats. Download Skoob from the App Store or Play Store and discover a world where knowledge meets curiosity, one perfectly curated episode at a time. Now, let's peel back the canvas and step into the unknown. Let's begin our journey in the realm where art meets terror. The art world is abundant with works that invoke emotions, but few genres are as potent in stirring the senses as those that delve into the horrifying. These aren't just paintings, they're windows into the human psyche's darkest corners. Our first stop is Norway, 1893, where Edvard Munch created what would become one of the most recognizable images in art history, the Scream. Despite countless parodies that have somewhat dimmed its alarming impact, this painting remains profoundly disturbing. The scene explodes with harsh oranges and yellows juxtaposed against a swirling blue-green sea, creating a vivid backdrop of chaos. The central figure, ambiguous in gender with its bald head, emits an eternal scream, while 2 shadowy figures loom ominously on a bridge in the background. But Munch's talent for capturing unsettling imagery extends far beyond this masterpiece. In Attraction, from 1896, 2 lovers gaze at each other with empty, abyss-like eyes that seem to peer into nothingness itself. The Vampire, from 1893, depicts 2 young girls in a chilling embrace that suggests something far more sinister than innocent affection. And his Madonna, created between 1895 and 1902, features a sinister embryonic creature that transforms the sacred into something deeply unsettling. Moving to France, we encounter Vincent van Gogh's Wheat Field with Crows from 1890, completed in the last summer of his troubled life in Arles. This painting serves as a reflection of Van Gogh's mental anguish, featuring a bleak murder of crows soaring over a golden field that's ominously divided by a dirt path. The viewer is left pondering whether to tread this desolate path, mirroring the existential questions Van Gogh faced in his final days. England gives us John Everett Millais' haunting Ophelia from 1851 to 1852, a quintessential example of pre-Raphaelite art that captures Shakespeare's tragic scene from Hamlet, where the unhinged Ophelia drowns. The painting carries an additional layer of morbidity when we consider the model, Lizzie Siddall, who was battling laudanum addiction and would later die from a tragic overdose. She's immortalized not just in this painting, but also in Dante Rossetti's desperate attempts to retrieve lost poems from her grave, a macabre detail that adds real-world tragedy to artistic representation. Henri Rousseau offers yet another vivid portrayal of terror in War from 1894. Here, a menacing young girl with glaring white teeth and a ragged dress brandishes a sword as she rides a black horse across a field littered with corpses. Crows scavenge amid the dead, silhouetted against a haunting sunset that transforms natural beauty into something apocalyptic. The Surrealist movement brought its own brand of horror. Salvador Dalí's The Three Sphinxes of Bikini from 1947 emerged from post-war anxieties, inspired by atomic bomb detonations. The work presents three faceless heads, the central one a split tree, flanked by heads enveloped in ominous gray clouds, creating a dark allegory of destruction and warning about humanity's newfound power to annihilate itself. René Magritte, typically known for whimsical and dreamlike visuals, ventures into deeply unsettling territory with The Rape in its two versions from 1934 and 1948. These works disturb by reducing a woman's face to nothing more than her sexual organs, a potent statement on objectification that remains shocking nearly a century later. Perhaps no work captures the essence of terror quite like Henry Fuseli's The Nightmare from 1781. This iconic representation shows a female dreamer oppressed by a goblin while an ever-watchful demon horse lurks in the shadows. The piece expertly expresses the inescapable grip of night terrors, resonating with viewers regardless of whether they interpret the scene as fantastical dreamscape or psychological distress. These masterpieces don't just shock for shock's sake. They immortalize each artist's unique exploration into the chilling aspects of human existence, reflecting our persisting fascination with and fear of the darker corners of the mind and world. Our journey now takes us into the realm where ancient mythology meets artistic expression, beginning with one of art history's most intriguing lost works, Leonardo da Vinci's Medusa shield. Following Dante's work, the Renaissance witnessed a resurgence of interest in Gorgon mythology. Leonardo da Vinci, whose lifespan stretched from 1452 to 1519, created a remarkable painting on a shield around 1475. According to Giorgio Vasari's Lives of the Artists from 1568, Leonardo's father, Ser Piero da Vinci, presented him with a rudimentary shield crafted by one of their peasants. Leonardo's response was characteristically ambitious. He revamped the shield by straightening and smoothing its surface, then applied a fresh layer of white gesso to prepare his canvas. But here's where the story becomes truly fascinating. Leonardo aspired to paint something as frightening as the mythical Medusa herself. To achieve this terrifying effect, he collected various dead serpents, bats, and insects, creatively reorganizing them into a singular monstrous entity that appeared to breathe poisonous fire while emerging from a cave. Leonardo painted this creation in secrecy within a locked room, becoming so absorbed in his work that he neglected to notice the decomposing specimens around him. When Ser Piero discovered this scene, he was understandably shocked. The extraordinary shield was eventually sold for a high price in Florence and found its way to the Duke of Milan. While some scholars question Vasari's romantic account, the Anonimo Gadiano, written between 1542 and 1547, confirms that Leonardo did indeed create a Medusa with striking coiled snakes, which became part of Duke Cosimo's collection. Tragically, this notable shield was inexplicably lost before the 18th century. For centuries, a painting of Medusa's head in the Uffizi Museum was incorrectly attributed to Leonardo, inspiring literary works like Gabriele D'Annunzio's Gogh in 1885 and Percy Bysshe Shelley's famous poem On the Medusa of Leonardo da Vinci in the Florentine Gallery from 1819. This misidentified painting shows Medusa's severed head positioned to avoid direct eye contact with the observer, preventing the legendary petrification effect. Modern experts have determined that the snake hair treatment and overall style are distinctly Flemish from the 17th century, definitively ruling out Da Vinci's authorship. From lost Renaissance masterpieces, we move to illustrated literature, specifically John Milton's Paradise Lost. This epic poem has inspired countless artistic interpretations, each attempting to visualize Milton's complex cosmologies and mythologies. William Hogarth's Satan, Sin and Death, housed at Tate Britain in London, captures a dramatic scene from Book 2. In Milton's universe, Sin is literally Satan's daughter, while Death emerges from an incestuous relationship between Sin and her father. Chaos exists as a boundless realm between hell and earth, governed by neither God nor devil. Hogarth's painting shows Lucifer confronting his son, Death, characterized as a menacing, flaming skeleton, while Sin appears as an indistinct but terrifying presence marked by a crown-like shadow, symbolizing imagined authority. William Blake's watercolor, The Old Dragon, from 1809, displayed at Manchester's Whitworth Art Gallery, engages with Milton's earlier 1629 poem on the morning of Christ's Nativity. The painting depicts the Holy Family in the manger at the top, while showing the downfall of various demonic entities previously masquerading as pagan gods, cast down upon Christ's birth. Blake's lower section features demons that also appear in Paradise Lost. From left to right on the outer ring, we find Belus gazing upward at the goddess Ashtaroth, followed by a serpentine creature possibly representing Leviathan, then the Phoenician sea god Dagon with scaly lower regions, and finally the Mesopotamian shepherd god Thammuz. The central multi-headed beast represents an amalgam of deities, including the Egyptian god Serapis, Beelzebub, the Carthaginian god Baal-Hamon, Mammon, Asmodeus, and the Syrian god Rimmon. The figure of Moloch holds particular significance in both Jewish and Christian narratives. This ancient Carthaginian god was believed to be a malignant demon to whom children were offered in ritual sacrifices. The 12th century Talmudic commentator Rashi detailed how worshippers fashioned metallic statues of the bull-headed Moloch, heated from below to burn children placed in its searing hands. Milton's Paradise Lost paints Moloch as a horrid king, stained with the blood of human sacrifices and parental grief. Beelzebub, the Hebrew Lord of the Flies, appears in Paradise Lost as Lucifer's steadfast second-in-command, questioning the value of rebellions rising from darkness in pandemonium. Unlike traditional insectoid depictions, Milton provides a subtle, leadership-focused portrayal that influenced later artistic interpretations. Gustave Doré's 1866 illustrations for Paradise Lost epitomize the romantic tradition of highlighting tragic and heroic elements in the fallen angel narrative. His depiction of Lucifer's midnight search from Book 9 shows only bat-like wings tarnishing the figure's otherwise angelic beauty, raising enduring questions about Milton's dramatic sympathies. In the 20th century, Terence Lindell revisited Paradise Lost through 1983 illustrations that initially appeared in Heavy Metal magazine, intertwining science fiction, steampunk, fantasy, and dark erotica themes. His visionary art depicts significant scenes like the Celestial War and Lucifer's fall, as well as fallen angels metamorphosing into demons, hinting at fiery presences like Moloch within. No discussion of mysterious paintings would be complete without examining Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper, a work that transcends mere religious illustration to become a psychological masterpiece of human emotion and betrayal. The genius of Leonardo's approach lies in how each disciple's movement serves as more than mere physical positioning. It's a bodily expression of their inner mental states, propelled by what Leonardo understood as animal spirits originating from their minds. This concept reveals the Renaissance understanding of how internal emotions manifest through external actions. Consider the group of disciples to Christ's left. Here we observe Peter's angular, impulsive reaction as he leans toward Christ, contrasted brilliantly against the gentle, relaxed curves of young John. This juxtaposition isn't accidental. It represents different temperaments and relationships with the divine announcement that has just shattered their world. But it's Leonardo's portrayal of Judas that demonstrates true artistic innovation. Traditionally, artistic depictions placed Judas separately, often on the opposing side of the table, physically demarcating the betrayer from the other disciples. Leonardo cleverly opts for physiological differentiation instead, enabling Judas to remain among the others without losing narrative clarity about his betrayal. Judas's body appears in a taut, heightened state of tension, his stress and recoiling frame resembling the stiffness of a tightly drawn bow. This physical manifestation of guilt and internal conflict creates a visual psychology that speaks volumes about the character's state of mind before he's even been identified as the betrayer. Even in the painting's deteriorated state, we can perceive profound emotional and psychological nuances embedded within each figure. While many finer expressive details have deteriorated over time, surviving preparatory sketches in chalk reveal the richness of character exploration that Da Vinci achieved. These sketched heads of the disciples resonate with depth and individuality that once brought the vivid tableau to life. Leonardo's artistic innovation transcends capturing a frozen moment in time. Rather than creating something akin to a high-speed photograph of a staged scene, the character's actions and attributes offer a fluid sequence of temporal narratives, rippling outward like waves on water, a concept particularly dear to Leonardo's intellectual heart. The narrative speaks to inherent drama defined by Christ's pivotal pronouncement, "I say to you that one of you is about to betray me," from Matthew 26:21. Judas's hand, poised above a dish, acts as a visual echo to Christ's ominous words about betrayal. "He that dippeth his hand with me into the dish, he shall betray me," from Matthew 26:23. The positioning of Christ's hands carries additional symbolic weight, his right reaching for a wine glass and his left toward bread, evoking the establishment of the Holy Eucharist and situating the painting within the broader spiritual timeline proposed in the Gospels, particularly as aligned with Matthew and Luke. Leonardo embedded premonitory cues throughout the composition. Peter holds a knife, alluding to his future violent act of slicing a soldier's ear during Christ's arrest, and perhaps symbolically nodding to Bartholomew's eventual martyrdom by skinning. Leonardo's preparatory sketches reveal the fluidity with which he traversed the storyline's timeline, capturing various perspective events, administering the Eucharist to Judas, the significant bowl announcement, and the shared act of dipping between Christ and Judas. These subtleties aren't accidental details, but intricately woven elements of the final composition that reward careful study and contemplation. Leonardo's technical approach further underscores his artistic mastery and innovation. Tasked with creating an image that would resonate with vivid three-dimensional illusion, Da Vinci diverged from conventional fresco technique. Traditional fresco demanded swift application of pigments on fresh plaster, but Leonardo sought more luxurious tonal richness. By experimenting with a method akin to egg tempera on a gessoed board, he developed a novel technique. He applied a base layer of white lead onto fine plaster, providing a luminous foundation that enhanced the vibrancy and depth of his color palette. This approach aligned with his contemplative and deliberate methodology, allowing meditative engagement with the painting process, unencumbered by fresco's rapid demands, a testament to the patience and visionary spirit that characterized Leonardo's work. Our exploration now moves into perhaps one of art's most provocative territories, the relationship between beauty and suffering, as exemplified by Théodore Géricault's revolutionary approach to depicting mortality and human anguish. Rather than explaining the horror depicted in his artwork, Géricault chooses to immerse both himself and his viewers completely within it. His paintings are meticulously composed and dramatically illuminated, creating scenes that challenge our fundamental assumptions about beauty and artistic subject matter. Emerging from shadows of dimly lit rooms, the heads of both men and women lie as if cushioned, reclining side by side and conjuring somber images of deathly bridal beds. Other pieces present dismembered arms and legs artfully intertwined in warm lighting that hints at erotic embraces. Géricault challenges our expectations and finds amusement in our shocked reactions. His work exudes a certain indulgence that mirrors the prevailing spirit of early 19th century France. Géricault wasn't alone in his fascination with mortality's macabre aspects. During this period in France, horror was a popular phenomenon that permeated culture at every level. Inexpensive horror novels flew off shelves, sinister theater productions drew large audiences, and wax museums with their chambers of horror served as regular attractions. Magic lantern shows known as phantasmagorie depicted skeletons and resurrected corpses, captivating public interest. Even the city morgue and public executions by guillotine attracted significant crowds. Within this cultural context, Géricault's depictions of decapitated heads and severed limbs display the era's obsession with horror, yet simultaneously mock these fascinations by grounding them in stark truths of life's end. His work operates on multiple levels, satisfying popular taste while critiquing it through unflinching artistic honesty. Despite political themes, medical insights, emotional depth, and undeniable relevance within French culture, Géricault particularly delighted in the aesthetic portrayal of suffering. His work is infused with appreciation for somber beauty, establishing his prominence in the Romantic movement. He was drawn to subjects such as the condemned, the insane, the ailing, the impoverished, and the deceased. Where others might avert their gaze or look on in morbid curiosity, Géricault saw beauty. A revealing anecdote comes from his friend Théodore Lebrun, who recounted an encounter during Géricault's creation of the Raft of the Medusa. Lebrun was suffering from jaundice, an ailment that distorted his appearance and led others to shun him in fear. Upon seeing him, Géricault exclaimed, "How beautiful you are!" and even requested Lebrun to pose for a portrait. This interaction made Lebrun aware that to Géricault, who sought the hues of impending death, such disfigurement seemed supremely beautiful and more poignant than traditional notions of beauty. Although Géricault's oeuvre links to classical tradition, evident in the robust physiques of figures in the Raft of the Medusa, standing in for debilitated and nearly lifeless individuals, few contemporaries remarked on this classical influence. Géricault emerged as a revolutionary, revered by admirers and criticized by detractors alike. Jean-Auguste Dominique Ingres, a self-proclaimed custodian of classical artistic norms, deemed the Raft of the Medusa scandalous. Ingres rejected art he believed only depicted ugliness and horror. Contrastingly, Géricault's friend and spiritual successor, Eugène Delacroix, found sublime value in his anatomical studies, considering them profound proponents of beauty as it should be understood. Géricault's work represented an articulation of beauty seen through suffering and decay's prism, challenging conventional perceptions and advocating for broader aesthetic appreciation. He demonstrated that art's highest calling might not be to prettify reality, but to find profound beauty in life's most difficult truths, a philosophy that would influence generations of artists who followed. This revolutionary approach to beauty through suffering opened new possibilities for artistic expression, proving that the most powerful art often emerges from unflinching examination of human experience in all its complexity, pain, and ultimate dignity. Our journey now takes us into the realm of religious art, where sacred and profane intertwine in disturbing ways. We'll explore William Holman Hunt's The Scapegoat, a 19th-century English masterpiece housed at Manchester Gallery of Art that presents a vivid depiction of deeply symbolic sacrifice. Hunt's painting draws inspiration from the biblical book of Leviticus in the Old Testament, which outlines ancient Hebrew rituals. According to this text, priests who are descendants of Aaron are responsible for various sacred rites in the temple, including casting lots to choose 2 young goats for sacrifice during Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. One goat is designated for the Lord as a direct offering to Yahweh. The other becomes the scapegoat, sent to Jabal Muntar, where a priest lays both hands upon its head, transferring all accumulated sins and transgressions of the people of Israel onto the animal. Once this symbolic burden of iniquity has been placed on the goat, it's sent into the wilderness. This act symbolizes removing sins from the community, with the goat bearing these sins into an uninhabitable region where Azazel, a mysterious and potentially demonic figure, presumably claims it. This ritual underscores the concept of transferring sin from humans onto an innocent being to achieve purification and redemption, what 20th-century French philosopher René Girard referred to as the scapegoat mechanism. Girard identified this mechanism not solely as religious practice, but as a wider, enduring concept observed across various religions. Christianity parallels this practice, shifting from offering a scapegoat to Azazel to presenting Jesus Christ as sacrifice. Within this tradition, Jesus gave his life as ransom to Satan, representing ultimate atonement. While this ransom theory isn't the single explanation within Christian theology, it aligns with scapegoat ritual and suggests unsettling implications often glossed over in contemporary secular interpretations of faith. The requirement for sacrifice directed toward Azazel highlights complex interconnection between divine and demonic. It signals that sacred and profane occasionally exist as 2 sides of the same coin. Encountering the diabolical is also engaging with what is profoundly spiritual or enigmatic. According to Girard, the scapegoat mechanism, whereby an innocent is sacrificed to absorb community sins, forms a foundational part of civilization itself. He asserted in Violence and the Sacred that such scapegoating is deeply embedded in human condition more than people are willing to admit. Girard didn't vilify this mechanism, but recognized it as necessary to contain societal violence. The ritual acts as a valve to relieve inherent volatility of human societies and provides a pathway to atonement, which Girard argued no person truly deserves. In ancient contexts, the scapegoat's scandal was more transparent, and there was understanding that even evil forces required acknowledgement. The existence of enemies like Satan, envisioned as counterparts to an all-loving creator, reflects recognition that divine and diabolical are intertwined in ways humans, with finite perspectives, can't fully grasp. Creative arts have frequently explored these themes. 15th-century Italian painter Michael Pascher illustrates Christ's temptations by Satan in the desert in his altarpiece for the Austrian Church of St. Wolfgang im Salzkammergut. These depictions often interlink demonic with animal, portraying ethnic others as demons, a conflation that has historically justified persecution and violence against marginalized groups. The figure of Azazel, depicted as a desert monster, represents not only physical presence in Judean wilderness, but also metaphorical void within human experience, an embodiment of our compromised and imperfect natures. The scapegoat ritual serves as confession of this inherent darkness in human beings. It suggests that to truly live reverently, we must acknowledge these shadows. Offering sacrifices to Azazel acts as a reminder of life's complexity and necessity of confronting all parts of oneself, including aspects that might lead to self-destruction if left unchecked. The biblical narrative of Job, often considered profound exploration of theodicy, God's justice in the presence of evil, can be interpreted as showcasing consequences of failing to give Azazel the deference owed to him, underscoring the need to balance recognition and reverence with existence's full spectrum. This exploration of sacred darkness reveals how religious art doesn't just inspire devotion, but confronts the uncomfortable complexities of faith, sacrifice, and humanity's relationship with both divine and demonic forces. Our journey takes an unexpected turn as we examine one of art's most unsettling phenomena: works that seem to predict future tragedies. We'll focus on Tar Baby versus Saint Sebastian, a sculpture that eerily appears to anticipate the events of September 11, 2001. Critics often argue that focusing on artworks that seem to predict specific events like 9/11 is misplaced. They point out that such pieces represent only single works among countless others created by American artists in years leading up to the tragedy. Among numerous pieces produced by those affected by 9/11, whether through survival or loss, there's just one known instance where an artist depicts himself being martyred by planes piercing his body. Skeptics contend that dwelling on this singular piece as quasi-prophetic overlooks the immense number of other artworks that don't fit the narrative, as these aren't considered relevant. This selective focus tends to arise from human desire to comprehend traumatic events, leading people to perceive significance in uncanny and poignant instances, retrospectively viewing Richard's sculpture as anticipating tragedy. However, such arguments contain their own biases and can be seen as equally arbitrary, since individual reactions to similar stimuli vary widely. In fact, many around the globe created art or narratives that, in retrospect, appear remarkably foresightful concerning September 11th. Issue 596 of The Adventures of Superman, published September 12, 2001, but obviously created weeks before, depicted smoldering LexCorp towers after being attacked during a superhero battle. This issue was quickly pulled from shelves by DC Comics, inadvertently becoming a collectible item. Similarly, in June 2001, The Coup, a hip-hop group from Oakland, California, designed a cover for their upcoming album Party Music, depicting the towers exploding. After the real attacks, the release was delayed to allow the band to design a new cover. Furthermore, on March 4, 2001, the pilot episode of The Lone Gunman, an X-Files spin-off, aired, featuring a plot about government conspiracy to commandeer a plane and crash it into the World Trade Center. This episode has fueled conspiracy theories suggesting authorities had prior knowledge of or were complicit in the attacks. A quick internet search reveals more instances of cultural artifacts and media appearing to anticipate 9/11. While not everyone channels inspiration into art, they process it differently, such as through dreams, an unconscious form of creation. Dreams that seem to foreshadow future events or significant changes are perhaps the most commonly reported paranormal experiences, with surveys indicating 17 to 38% of people have had such experiences. Unsurprisingly, many individuals reported having dreams and other premonitions about the 9/11 attacks. The Rhine Center in Durham, North Carolina, which collects reports of disaster premonitions, noted a significant influx of calls regarding dreams and forebodings related to 9/11, surpassing those linked to any other disaster. An internet search yields numerous accounts, including narratives concerning individuals who died during the attacks and were later remembered by loved ones for having seemingly prophetic dreams in preceding days and weeks. This phenomenon raises profound questions about the nature of artistic inspiration and whether some creators tap into collective unconscious streams that sense coming changes. Whether we call it intuition, coincidence, or something more mysterious, the recurring pattern of art seeming to predict tragedy suggests that creative expression might serve as a kind of cultural early warning system. The implications are both fascinating and unsettling. If art can indeed function as prophecy, what responsibility do artists bear for their visions? And what does it mean for society when creative works consistently anticipate our darkest moments? These questions remain unanswered, but they underscore art's power to transcend mere aesthetic experience and tap into something deeper about human consciousness and our relationship with time, fate, and collective destiny. Our final exploration delves into the shadowy world of art theft, where masterpieces become both treasure and curse for those who dare to steal them. Welcome to the phenomenon known as the curse of the stolen masterpiece. Consider this hypothetical scenario. Someone manages to steal a 300 to 50-ton U-boat measuring the length of an entire city block. Surprisingly, recovering such a massive theft might prove more straightforward than retrieving smaller, more precious items. This is because smaller, less conspicuous objects like terracotta statues or Audrey Beardsley sketches can be seamlessly reintroduced into legitimate markets, making them easier for thieves to offload. However, the situation becomes considerably more complex when criminals steal internationally renowned items like a Vermeer painting or highly revered military relics. These items are virtually impossible to sell through conventional or even black market channels due to their fame and recognizability. This challenge presents a specific conundrum that troubles even the most seasoned art criminals. A perfect example occurred in 2003, when thieves broke into England's Whitworth Art Gallery. They skillfully made off with half a dozen prints by renowned artists including Van Gogh, Picasso, and Gauguin, effectively bypassing alarms, surveillance cameras, and security personnel. Despite the finesse with which the robbery was carried out, the art was soon recovered. Police, tipped off by an informant, discovered the stolen works hidden behind a public restroom. The hastily scribbled note left by thieves claimed they were highlighting a security flaw, yet the artwork's condition suggested otherwise. Stuffed into a cardboard tube, the Van Gogh was torn and the rainwater had damaged the Picasso print. According to Dick Ellis, former head of Scotland Yard's Arts and Antiques Squad, these individuals were skilled criminals but not seasoned art thieves. They made the tactical error of stealing before planning how to monetize their haul. While niche markets for the stolen masterpieces do exist, successfully selling them requires creativity and patience. In certain locales like Switzerland and Japan, where bank privacy is highly valued and laws regarding good faith purchase are more lenient, thieves can use stolen paintings as collateral for loans or financial deposits. Some professional art criminals bide their time, hoping to later ransom stolen pieces back to rightful owners. Museums might pay ransoms, typically about 10% of artwork's value, to recover especially precious works. These transactions usually involve middlemen, such as defense lawyers or underworld operatives who orchestrate exchanges, culminating in artwork being found by authorities in public spaces like unoccupied hotel rooms or airport lounges. Increasingly, stolen masterpieces are becoming currency in the criminal world. Artworks are traded for illicit goods, including firearms or narcotics. A Metsu painting, pilfered from an Irish mansion, was seized during a cocaine deal in Istanbul. Similarly, after Titian's Rest on the Flight into Egypt was stolen from an English estate, it changed hands among 5 different gangsters, each using it as bargaining leverage. Such collateralization can inadvertently aid law enforcement. As these works are traded from one criminal to another, much like poker chips at a gaming table, They eventually surface when someone attempts to exchange them for cash or goods. The curse of the stolen masterpiece lies in this paradox. The very fame and value that makes a work attractive to thieves also makes it impossible to profit from. Criminals find themselves possessing objects of immense worth that are utterly worthless to them, trapped in a kind of artistic purgatory where the beauty they've stolen becomes their burden. This irony reveals something profound about art's nature. Unlike other valuable commodities, masterpieces derive their worth not just from materials or craftsmanship, but from cultural recognition and shared human appreciation. When stolen from their proper context, they lose their essential meaning, becoming mere objects rather than transcendent works of art. The criminals who steal them discover too late that they haven't captured beauty. They've only imprisoned it, and in doing so they've imprisoned themselves as well. As our journey through these mysterious paintings comes to an end, we're left with more questions than answers. And perhaps that's exactly as it should be. From Munch's screaming figure to Leonardo's lost Medusa, from Géricault's beautiful corpses to Hunt's sacrificial goat, from prophetic artworks to cursed stolen masterpieces, we've seen how art serves as humanity's most complex mirror. These paintings don't just hang on walls, they inhabit our consciousness, challenging our perceptions, disturbing our comfort, and forcing us to confront aspects of existence we might prefer to ignore. They remind us that art's highest purpose isn't always to please or prettify, but to reveal truth in all its beautiful, terrible complexity. The mystery of these paintings lies not just in their subjects or their histories, but in their ability to continue affecting us across centuries. Each viewer brings their own fears, hopes, and experiences to these works, creating new interpretations and new mysteries with every encounter. In our modern age of digital reproduction and instant access, these mysterious paintings retain their power to unsettle, inspire, and transform. They prove that despite all our technological advances, some aspects of human experience remain fundamentally mysterious, and art remains our most profound method of exploring those mysteries. Whether depicting religious sacrifice, psychological horror, or prophetic visions, these works remind us that the human condition itself is mysterious. We are creatures capable of both creating and destroying, of seeing beauty in suffering, of seeking the divine while confronting the demonic. The shadows on these canvases are reflections of shadows within ourselves. And as long as humans continue to seek meaning in existence, artists will continue to explore those shadows, creating new mysteries for future generations to contemplate and interpret. I'm your host, Ryan Martin, and this has been The Conspiracy Tapes. Thank you for joining me on this journey through art's darkest and most enigmatic corners. If this episode stirred your curiosity or gave you goosebumps, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen. And for even more mind-expanding content, check out Skoob, the AI-powered podcast app that delivers short, binge-worthy episodes based on the world's most fascinating nonfiction books. Whether it's ancient secrets, human psychology, or art history's deepest conspiracies, Skoob curates the best of it just for you. Download Skoob from the App Store or Play Store and turn every listen into a discovery. Until next time, keep looking closely at the paintings around you. You never know what secrets they might be hiding in plain sight.